This is how we make the moonshine.
Back in Virginia, moonshiner Tim is anxious about his own illegal operation and how he can stay one step ahead of the ABC. If Tim really does want to go legit, there's only one other member of the Outlaw Brotherhood he can talk to.
I've been making moonshine legal since 1987. I really don't want to expand on anything prior to that.
Chuck Miller was one of the biggest moonshiners around.
Ours is the best moonshine in all of Virginia.
He was carrying on a tradition passed on to him by his grandfather, also a legend in his own time. Some compared him to Popcorn Sutton.
Well, they raided a house one day, and Grandpa got in a big fight. It was like 12 against 1. They beat him up pretty bad. Grandma had to call the priest in, give him last rites. He recovered, went on back to business again.
After a few brushes with the law of his own, Chuck went legit. But for Tim, it's a big risk. If word gets out that he's thinking of going legit, he'll be shut out, and his shining days will be over for good.
You know, I think about if I don't make it. What if the government says, no, we don't want an illegal moonshiner becoming a legal moonshiner? Then it's kind of like I can't go back now. You know, I can't go back illegal because everyone knows, you know, I've done put myself out there in the light. I feel like I'm on a train and I can't get off of it. You know, I've done got on it and it doesn't stop.
Tim's about to get a heavy dose of reality.
I'm glad you can make it today. Now, I want you to learn the right way to do things.
Okay.
Maybe one day you'll go legal. You never know, huh?
I hope so.
Come on in, Tim.
I think a legal distiller is going to be a lot different. Well, first thing, I never worked inside of a building. You got a pretty nice place. I'm still in the trees. When you're out in the woods, it's kind of out of control, and you're always looking around and worried about somebody getting ready to arrest you or something. I think on the legal part, you can just have fun at it.
All right, Tim, this is a USDA-approved rake.
I ain't never in my life heard of such.
See, when you go legal, Tim, all these things you got to think of.
Okay.
First, you got to get your formula approved. Then your label's got to be approved, and then you got to get the state to accept. If you go legal, you got a sand filter, water softener, carbon filter, pre-filter, reverse osmosis filter, a positive and a negative ion filter, 0.02 micron filter, and a UV light.
Yeah.
This is the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 27. If you need one of these books, then you got to go read it. Once you get into all them books, now they start telling you how to keep all your records. Yeah, they want to know how much corn you used, how much mash you used. They make me keep track of everything. In and out the tanks, every time I bottle it.
See, that's one thing about moonshine. You don't have to worry about no regulation. We don't have no regulation. We just got our own laws, and we do what we want to do.
Now, the government wants me to send that tax money in here. Just those 2 tanks over there, I got to send a check to the government for $13,500. State actually gets more than that. This is the part that tells you how big your bond's got to be. You got a bond?
What's the bond?
You got to have a bond to make alcohol.
You got to have a bond to make alcohol?
Yeah. You're going to be a distiller and a processor. You got to have a bond of $200,000.
$200,000?
Yeah.